On this episode of Rock Down South, we chat with Mark Taylor. We talk about his brand new album and he even plays a couple of live acoustic songs for us. We hope you all enjoy. Let's go.
Hey, this is Mark Taylor, and you're listening to Rock Down South.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Rock Down South, your home for rock and country music. Today, we sit down and talk with Mark Taylor, and he's a really cool up-and-coming country artist who released an album last year titled One, and has a couple of really fun singles out called Buzzed on a Boat and I'm Down. We talk all about his background, his music, he even plays a couple of acoustic songs for us. So without further ado, here's the show. What's up, Mark? How you doing today?
Thanks for having me on, Mark. I'm doing awesome. Really appreciate you having me on the podcast, man.
Yeah. I'm glad you joined, and automatically you get a little bit more bonus points since we do have the commonality of the name there.
We should call it the Mark and Mark Show. I like that. I think that should happen.
It's the Mark and Mark Show for the next few minutes.
Exactly.
There we go. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Mark. I know you're originally from Maryland, right?
Yes, sir. I was born in Richmond, Virginia, but raised pretty much in Maryland my whole life. Kind of grew up in the northern Baltimore area, Lutherville, Towson area, for those of you out there who know Baltimore geography pretty well. But that's where I grew up, and that's where I kind of found my love for music and all things country music. Most of the people that are, doing a lot of country music now are, I'm from, these southern states or whatever. But no, I'm born and raised in Maryland. Born in Virginia, raised in Maryland. But it's kind of where I got my start in music. I grew up playing a lot of the different local bars from the time I was probably 13 or 14 on. And that grew to, over 1,000 live shows all over the world. I was lucky enough to open up for folks like Wiz Khalifa, Big and Rich, a guy named Matt Dillon. The list is ever growing, which is pretty cool. But I just actually graduated 2 days ago from Wake Forest University down here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So I've been down in Winston-Salem for the last 4 years for college, and off to Nashville the first week in June. So I'm confirmed moving down there full time, which is going to be a great experience for me and my team. And I can't wait to get started, but kind of been all over the place, especially on the East Coast, but been able to tour all over the world, which has been pretty exciting. And, I've been very lucky to have been raised where I was and to be able to experience all these different things.
Well, first things first, congratulations, man, on the graduation from Wake Forest, man. That's impressive. That's an achievement.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. It was great.
Yeah, I saw you post that on Instagram a few days ago, and I was like, "Oh, cool! He's graduated."
Yeah, 4 years. It's crazy, just because my mind originally was not set on going into country music full time, and my intention was to go to law school at first, and then kind of diving into some law internships, I learned that I really didn't like to do law and I didn't like to read. And I discovered that really was not going to be conducive to law school. So got on the production side of it. After that, got on the music side of it. And then middle of junior year, I decided, I'm going to follow this country music thing for a little bit. And I got with my team and I've been here ever since. So call me crazy, but I'm moving to Nashville.
That's awesome. So yeah, law school. So you originally were thinking about doing the law school thing until you figured out how much reading was actually required.
Correct. And I'm not exactly a bookworm, I'll tell you that much.
No, I can relate. When I was probably 12 years old, I watched enough Law and Order and read enough John Grisham books to where I was like, you know what? Being a lawyer sounds like it might be kind of cool. And then exactly. I learned a little bit more. I'm like, good gosh, you got to read volumes of boring things. And I was like, no, I don't think this is going to work for me. I think I need to try something else.
And I have great attorneys now, and they do all the reading for me, which is great. And they are very good at it, and I am very not. So we're gonna probably
So what did you end up studying in school?
My official degree, which I got 2 days ago, says I was a communication major with double minors in entrepreneurship and criminology, which is super interesting because that kind of came out of left field just because we have a really cool department and studies for that at Wake, and it was super interesting hearing all the criminology stories. But yeah, communications. So kind of using my degree, kind of not, but kind of using it. I like to tell at least my parents that I'm using my degree. But music's communicating, right? I can say that on air, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
using the degree.
And so did you play like shows around Wake Forest area? I know you said you're traveling and doing some other tours around.
Yeah, so I would consistently, before kind of all the stuff got crazy in college for the last couple of years, My consistent schedule was I would play Thursdays from 6 to 8, 9 to 11, and then the 12:30 to 3:30 shift at one of the Thursday bars we have at Wake. So I would play pretty much 3 shows every Thursday night, and then either Friday or Saturday, I would have another show planned. And that show was usually kept for bigger things. Like that was one of the Big and Rich shows. That was a Wiz Khalifa. Like, you know, the bigger stuff kind of was on the weekend so I could travel if I had to, because some clients would fly me out to different places to kind of go open for folks, go play private events, kind of stuff like that. But it was mostly kind of Thursdays and Fridays at Wake, and then Saturday spilling into Sunday if I had to. I'd travel a little bit, but you know, it's kind of the local bar scene down there, doing your typical cover shows and just kind of hanging out with all the folks at different pizza shops and burger joints and late night bars and clubs and whatnot. But yeah, kind of just a little solo acoustic gig, I would say, which is kind of what helped pay for college too.
Oh, that's cool. It's cool that you actually did all that in college. I mean, that's quite the college experience. I know a lot of people go to the college bars once they're already graduated and everything. And so
Yeah,
it's kind of cool that you were doing that already. And not only were you actively playing in college, you also put out your first album titled One last year,
that's right.
all before you graduated, man.
Yeah, it's been nuts. I'll tell you what, it's been nuts. But yeah, that record came out in October, and we got a couple singles off that record, one of which I'm Down actually charted at number 11 on a independent country chart, which is super exciting. So we had some really great traction. The Spotify numbers were phenomenal for that whole record, and it blew me away. I mean, I wrote most of those songs during quarantine, and when I didn't think anyone would frankly give a crap about what I was doing, kind of sitting in my little bedroom back at home in Baltimore. But put the album out to the world and had a ton of press on it, and picked up on some different stations all over the world. And the Spotify streaming was phenomenal, and Apple Music streaming was phenomenal, and the chart placements were great. And you know, it's the coolest thing in the world too, to be driving in your hometown. And I got to do it a couple times this summer. Hey, this is Mark Taylor coming to you on whatever station it was, and you know, then my song comes on the radio, and all for songs I wrote over quarantine and in my college dorm room. So that was really exciting for me. But yeah, it's been a crazy, not, I wouldn't say terribly typical college experience, but a really cool one nonetheless.
Yeah, yeah. I like the album, man. I was listening to it earlier. Of course, I'm Down was a good song. And then you got the new single that you guys are pushing out, Buzzed on a Boat.
Yeah, that's been really fun as well. That one actually was the last single, the last song I wrote rather on the album, but the first single we put out, and it received, like I said, it did really well all last year, and I was kind of tracking the streaming for the last couple weeks and sitting down with my team. I was like, hey, you know, this is starting to get a little bit more traction, being that it's summertime and people want to go outside and have a drink and whatnot. And, you know, all of a sudden we see these numbers start to spike a little bit, and we're like, okay, let's keep pushing this one. So, you know, that we're doing a little kind of Buzzed on a Boat summer revival tour 2.0 with that, if you will. But that's kind of what we're pushing right now. And it's been doing well again, which is really fun. And that's a song that for me, at least, you know, I just got to be able to, you know, write really quickly and be able to have a really fun kind of summer party anthem going. So that was a super fun one of my favorite ones off that record. But yeah, I love it.
Did you write that song all by yourself?
I did. I actually,
Wow.
funny part was, so my sister had been bugging me, and she'll make fun of me for telling this story because I love telling this story. So my family was sitting on a beach in around Christmas time, I would say, in Florida, visiting my grandparents a couple of years ago. And my sister and my mom had been bugging me for months and months and months. You need to write a song called Buzzed on a Boat. You need to write a song called Buzzed on a Boat. And I said, that is the worst song title I've ever heard in my life. I'm not doing it. I'm the music guy in the house. Let it to me. And they were like, no, you need to do this. You need to do this. So we're finally sitting on this beach, and admittedly, I was a couple beverages in, as we will say. And, you know, I was sitting there, and my sister looks over at me and goes, I guess you're not talented enough to write a song called Buzzed on a Boat. And I said, well, first of all, thank you for lighting this fire under my butt. But when your 18 months younger than you sister looks at you and goes, I guess you're not good enough, you go, okay, yes, I am. And you write the song. So I didn't have a guitar. I literally had the notes app on my phone. And I sat there and I picked a key in my head, and I'm going to write this. And originally it was in G major. I want to write this in G major. And I started writing lyrics, and I just kind of in my head, and I had no pianos, no guitars, no nothing. I sat there and I wrote out some lyrics, and I said, okay, I kind of like this. And we kept going. And I'm just literally sitting there on a beach. I can barely see. The glare is so bad from my phone. Just kept writing. And then finally, song was done. I show it to my sister. 15 minutes later, I said, do not ask me about this again. I'm so sick and tired of you bugging me about it. I will show you this later. I never showed it to anyone later. And then I'm sitting on a Zoom call and I was bored out of my mind a couple months later. And I wrote that roughly December-ish. It's probably February. And I'm scrolling through my phone just on my notes app. And I said, what in the world is this song Buzzed on a Boat? And I get kind of playing through what I had written down. And I had a little piano in my room at the time, and I'm playing what I wrote. I'm like, this isn't half bad. And I kept going. I'm like, this is actually pretty good. So I sent it over to my producer, and he was like, we're recording this today. Start recording vocals. I'm going to get the guitar, whatever. And we started producing it that day. Sent it over to my publicist, Nicole. And she was like, this needs to be the first single out. And we put it out as the first single, and it just was a smash. It was awesome. It was on a bunch of syndicated radio stations, and I was hearing it all over the place, and Spotify was great. And it was just a super fun song to put out first, but total spur of the moment. There's only 2 co-writes on that album, which is crazy. And, looking back what I know now, I probably would have done that a little bit differently, admittedly, but I only have 2 co-writes on that entire record. And the rest of it was all me, just kind of sitting in, college dorm rooms or my bedroom back in Baltimore, or apparently on a beach. But that was all me right there. And that was definitely close to my heart, I would say.
That's a wild story about how you came to get a song. It sounds like you're not your typical writing process.
No, I mean that one definitely not. I've very well adopted to the Nashville writing system, I would say, of you get a couple co-writers in the room, you book time, you have a couple ideas, and you really flesh a song out there. So my writing team is phenomenal, and we've been really diving a lot more into the writing process and kind of working through a bunch of these new songs, which I love equally as much as the old stuff, but it's just different, which is kind of cool because I'm able to say things differently, run different things past people, and it's just been really exciting. But yeah, that was definitely not the typical process. I mean, hell, some of these songs now have 5, 6, 7, 8 writers on them in country music and rock music too. But to have one on it's definitely uncommon. But I wouldn't change it for the world. But yeah, we're changing things up a little bit, I should say.
I don't know, man. You might need to go revisit that thing.
You're right. I might have to. I might have to there. Absolutely.
Have a few drinks and get out the phone and pound out the notes app.
There ain't nothing wrong with that. I'll take it. There ain't nothing wrong with that at all. I love it. I love it, man.
Another song on the album that kind of stood out to me that I really liked was Another Day. That song is a little bit more on the rockin' side. I liked it.
And it's I mean, I've done a million interviews about this record, and you are the first person to bring up that song. And I'm so glad because I love that song so much. And that for me, I grew up, to kind of talk more about my upbringing in Maryland. I mean, I grew up playing in classic rock bands. So I was brought up in like old Eagles bands, old classic rock cover bands. I've played in Chili Peppers cover bands. I've done a lot of kind of the alt rock stuff. I've done country. I've done jazz. I was a Frank Sinatra impersonator in a band. I've done this whole kind of wide array of musical experiences. And that was really important for me to kind of get onto the album because, that album was a reflection of me. It was the first thing we had put out. And I was like, screw it. I want to be able to put on the things that influence me coming up. So like, there's a lot of kind of old, references to, some older Jimmy Buffett stuff on there. There's a lot of stuff related to like Metallica stuff on there. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of Maroon 5-esque on there. So it's kind of all these weird influences that made me the musician I am kind of coming onto this album, which was super exciting. So the ability to kind of grab a Les Paul and just crank out, Another Day was really important to me because, and that was something sitting in our production meetings. I was like, when are we doing a rock song? When are we doing a rock song? And we did a rock song. And that was, me and a guy named Carter Vogel, who's a student up at Berklee College of Music. We used to play in a jazz band together. And he's a phenomenal writer. And we sat down and we just cranked this out. And it was awesome. And my producer, Simon Reed, absolutely knocked it out of the park. But that was definitely a really fun one for me just because, I got to kind of mess around with some different sounds that weren't necessarily country music. And that's cool with me. I love that stuff.
Did you do the guitar solo on that?
I did not. I did not do the guitar solo, admittedly, on that. That is Simon Reed. There's a really cool video because he had done that a couple different times and he had videoed himself doing it. And he did the solo. And when he hit that last note of the last take, which we ended up using, his face absolutely lights up. And he was like, that's it. And I was like, absolutely, that's it. So he posted that to his Instagram not too long ago. That was hilarious to see. But no, did not play guitar on that song, unfortunately.
So no guitar at all on that song you played?
Not on that one. Not on that one. Other ones, yes. Not on that one.
Okay.
Because he had all the amps I wanted, and it was way easier for me to be like, you record this, I can do I produced the vocals on that stuff and some of the guitar tracks, but not on that song, just because I recognized that he had way more equipment in that studio than I did in my little dorm room makeshift studio. So I recognized some talent there, and I said, "You do this because you are better than I am at this."
Are you more of an acoustic player or an electric player? Because I know on your album cover you have the electric guitar over the
It
shoulder.
depends. I'm a kind of a gearhead, so I like to collect a lot of the different guitars from all different kind of eras of music, and because I've played kind of not every genre, but a lot of genres, obviously. But the answer is it depends. I love grabbing a Les Paul and just freaking wailing out on stage. That's one of my favorite things to do, but I also love the kind of sentimental value you get from being a singer-songwriter, and it's just you and the guitar, and there you can't hide anything. So it's just different for me. I do a lot of both, I would say. Right now, because we're doing a lot of like opening for people with like solo acoustic stuff, and I have a lot of other guitar players with me sometimes for that stuff too. So I'm usually left to the acoustic guitar, which is cool with me because I like playing everything. But there is something to be said when you give a guy like me that likes to run around like I'm crazy on stage an electric guitar. There's a different vibe, and I think there's a time and place for both vibes, and I love both of them. But yeah, it's kind of a mix of both.
So when it comes to performances, what's the worst show that you've ever played that comes to mind?
God.
Maybe it was a bad performance you had, a bad crowd, a small crowd, or maybe just a weird venue.
Oh, that's a great question. The worst show. I forget lyrics every single day. And if there's a singer that doesn't forget lyrics, they're lying to you. There were multiple occasions where, and I won't name names, but there were some famous people in the crowd, and I was so starstruck that we were singing a song. And I will tell you the song. It was Stacy's Mom, and I was playing bass, singing the words, totally forgot the words. Like nothing came out. I just didn't even sing. This guy had walked in the back, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, what in the hell? Like, how did they get in here? Whoa, this is crazy. And literally playing bass and supposed to be singing, and nothing's coming out of my mouth. And I've done that a million times. People walk in, I get surprised, whatever, and I get distracted, and I'll start looking around, and all of a sudden I'm forgetting to sing. I don't know the words. I've invented third verses to songs that are not supposed to be there. That's the thing too, is I've played, like I said, probably at this point, it's over 1,100, 1,200 live shows. There are so many mistakes, and nobody's perfect, but it's hilarious. I mean, some of these, and that I'd have to go back and think about some other specific stories, but I would say definitely that one where I totally just botched all of the second verse to Stacy's Mom. But I forget words every single day. And again, if there's a singer that tells you they're not, they're lying to you.
That's a good answer. All right, now we have a couple of acoustic songs for y'all. This first one is called I'm Down.
Hey pretty girl, it's been a long time since I felt your hand in mine. Let's put the past behind us, we ain't gotta push rewind. Wish I could buy you a drink, you'd have time to think about what went right or wrong. Till then I'm sitting here in this dorm room writing the words to this song. I got time to spread on the radio with enough drinks to go around. If you're up for coming over, girl, you know that I'm down. Forget about the bad times, remember the good, just like I think you should. Honey, why don't you come back to me? You got enough love to go around. Girl, I'm down. Girl, I'm down, yeah. Hey, sweet thing, you're talking to me. Let me help you think this through. I know we put it on hold months ago, but I never stopped loving you. Just say yes, and I'll be the best thing to walk back into your life. Let's put it back together so I can hold you tight all night, alright. Got time to spend on the radio with enough drinks to go around. If you're up for coming over, girl, you know that I'm down. Forget about the bad times, remember the good, just like I think you should. Honey, why don't you come back got enough love to go around. Girl, I'm down, come on. Girl, I'm down. And if you're having doubts, girl, I had them too. But I swear to God I'd never stop loving you. That time is set on the radio, drinks to go around. If you're up for coming over, girl, you know that I'm down. Forget about the bad times, remember the good, just like I think you should. Honey, why don't you come back to me? You got enough love to go around. Girl, I'm down, yeah. Girl, I'm down, yeah. If you're up, I'm down. If you're up, I'm down, yeah. If you're up, I'm down. If you're up, I'm down. If you're up, I'm down, yeah.
Man, that is a really good song. I like that one a lot. And now for one more. This one is called Buzzed on a Boat.
Margaritaville blasting through the cracking speakers. Cold Bud Light dripping in my hand. Got the girls going crazy when I rev the engine. Damn, I wish the time on the water wouldn't never end. Shades on, looking down at my own reflection. Fans to the left and to the right is all we see. Sun beating down harder than I've ever seen it. Someone come on over, shotgun a beer with me. I'm buzzed on the road, out on the water, drinking all day. Ain't nothing better than my girl working on her tan, while I'm doing shots with a band. Tide's coming in on the mind's going out. Fruity drinks pouring, there ain't no doubt. I got so much booze and we can hardly flow. Getting buzzed on the boat, come on. Getting buzzed on the boat, yeah. Flying through a no-wake zone. That's the fastest way to take us from home. Wind in my face, how I miss this place. I hope it never ends. We'll be swimming with the fishes after one more drink. We gotta keep moving so we keep it from sinking. As the son of a sailor, I think it's fair to say, crack open a cold one, and here's it today. I'm getting buzzed on the boat, out on the water, drinking all day. Ain't nothing better than my girl working on her tan, while I'm doing shots with the band. The tide's coming in, on the mind's going out. Fruity drinks pouring, there ain't no doubt. We got so much booze we can hardly flow. Getting buzzed on a boat, yeah, come on. Getting buzzed on a boat. Cause I'm buzzed on a boat, out on the water, drinking all day. There ain't nothing better than my girl working on her tan, while I'm doing shots with a band. Come on. The tide's coming in, on the mind's going out. Fruity drinks pouring, there ain't no doubt. We got so much booze we can hardly flow. Getting buzzed on a boat, come on. Getting buzzed on a boat.
That is a super fun and catchy song. I'm certainly a fan of it. I hope you guys enjoyed those tunes just as much as I did. Now, let's get back to the interview. So these next questions are what we close with and ask everyone.
Okay.
So first question, what would you tell your 21-year-old self? And I know you're probably not too much older than 21, but this is a question that we always ask.
So I would tell my 21-year-old self just to keep going with it, because it's really easy to get distracted when you're seeing everyone do just crazy stuff. And I have some friends that have, gone from 0 to 100 really quick in this industry. And I have some friends that have gone from 0 and maybe have gone to 3 in the same time. And it's the music industry is so crazy all the freaking time. But I would probably tell my, year and a half ago self to just keep going and just, put the blinders on and just literally keep going forward. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Everyone's on a different path in Nashville. No one does the exact same thing. So you just have to be able to kind of shut out the noise and just keep going straight.
Next question. What are you drinking lately? If you don't drink alcohol, it could be anything refreshing you like to drink.
I am on right now. So when I opened for Big and Rich, John Rich really got me on his Redneck Riviera whiskey. I don't know if you've had that at all, but it's honestly, it's my favorite drink right now. He does this like weird concoction. It's like, and I'm gonna mess it up because I just looked at the recipe the other day, but he does this like it's like 2 shots of whiskey, 2 shots of lemonade, and this like peach extract thing that's unbelievable. But I'm a big Jack and Coke guy. Kind of anything that's in front of me. I did just graduate college, so you're not allowed to be picky in college with the alcohol. You kind of just drink what's in front of you. But recently I've been getting into a lot of different kind of, just whiskeys and enjoying those. But yeah, definitely Redneck Riviera. Shout out John Rich for getting me on that one.
I'll have to check that stuff out. That sounds interesting.
It's great.
And as you know, this is Rock Down South. So what is something, or maybe a couple things that come to mind, that you love about the South?
I love the people. This was the coolest thing for me is that coming from Baltimore and growing up kind of in the northern mid-Atlantic area a lot of my life and playing a lot of music up there, it's very kind of rough and tough and people don't let you in on the highway and you got to drive with, one hand with the middle finger out the window and one hand on the steering wheel. It's a different vibe. And then I moved to North Carolina for 4 years and I was driving some buddies around the first couple days I was down there and they're like, what the hell are you doing? Chill. Like why are you driving so fast? We are relaxed down here. It's a slower pace of life and I love it. I mean, that's why I'm going to Tennessee. Forget the music stuff. I just love the pace of life. Everyone's nice to each other. The food is unbelievable. I am a sucker for biscuits and this is the best place to get biscuits. But I would say just the general pace of life is just awesome and I love it.
Hey, thank you so much, Mark, for being a part of the show today. Where can people find to connect with you online?
Absolutely. If you want to log on to my website, it's www.marktaylorofficial.net. And you can find me on Instagram as well at Mark_acoustic. On Facebook, you can find me at Mark Taylor Official Music. And if you're on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, wherever you get your stuff, so am I. You can find me on there. Just search Mark Taylor. You'll see a picture of me and all the songs we talked about today on there.
And anything going on that you want to let people know about?
Absolutely. Yeah. The cool part is we're routing our summer tour right now, which is going to be awesome. So there's going to be a mix of full band shows, some duo shows, some solo acoustic shows, but we're doing, I can't give names yet, unfortunately, but we're going to be opening for some people. We're going to be doing some state fairs and festivals, and there's going to be a couple, really big shows coming up soon. So make sure you're staying tuned to the Instagram, the Facebook, the website, where all that information is going to be.
Thank you so much for listening to the show today. Hope y'all enjoyed this episode. I had a really great time chatting with Mark. He's a super smart and well-spoken guy with some pretty catchy tunes. I'm really glad we got to hear him play a couple of them here today. So make sure to go follow Mark on all of his social media pages and give his latest singles, I'm Down and Buzzed on a Boat a listen, as well as his most recent album titled One. Check out all our content at rockdownsouth.com and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for the latest updates. Also, leave us a 5-star review if you can. We would really appreciate it. And as always, the views and opinions expressed by our guests are theirs and don't necessarily reflect our own. I'm Mark, and you've been listening to Rock Down South. See y'all next time.